funny thing? The boxing people don't know more. The only thing they know is how much the guy runs and trains. But when they come in 2 men in the ring, anything can happen. I don't care what, anything can happen.
Urgency, or he's overrated. And I'm not saying he's that. I'm just saying that it didn't matter enough to go and do what he had to do.
Was actually countering Canelo Alvarez quite a bit. So as Canelo would throw, he would just sit there, wait, block, and then boom, an uppercut or a right hand. Another mistake that Canelo was making too is he was throwing like one shot, and then he was coming back.
Mike Tyson didn't hold back after Canelo Alvarez's crushing loss to Terence Crawford, flat out calling him overrated. Tyson said Canelo looked ordinary once he stepped in with Crawford, who controlled the fight with skill and precision. In Tyson's view, the bout exposed Canelo's weaknesses and proved he was never as dominant as many believed. While praising Crawford as one of the sport's all-time greats, Tyson doubled down, insisting the loss confirmed that the hype around Canelo had always been inflated.
Prime, you gonna catch him? I'm just telling you, but when those guys started beating Chavez was already an old man, though. I gotta get from then, though. You gotta get him there. You know, he had close on. It was, man, he got him beaten in like 90-0 before he got beat. Oh. You gotta look at those scenarios too, man.
Renowned trainer Teddy Atlas has never shied away from telling hard truths. And when it comes to Canelo Alvarez, he didn't hold back. Atlas argues that Canelo's reputation has been inflated by promoters, fans, and media eager to crown him the king of boxing without truly examining the substance of his career. While Alvarez boasts big victories, Atlas claims many came against carefully selected opponents, making his resume appear stronger than it really is. To Atlas, the image of Canelo as an unbeatable force is more myth than reality, a product of timing, marketing, and perception rather than consistent dominance in the ring.
Quite as up in arms. We actually sometimes said he fought a smart fight. But when he didn't fight the kind of fight to make it an entertaining fight against our guy, against the popular Canelo, again, the king, so to speak, then we completely attacked the guy. So I think that that's got to be looked at a little bit, to be fair.
Even before the fight, Mike Tyson was clear. He predicted Terence Crawford would outbox Canelo Alvarez. Tyson expressed total confidence in Crawford's skills, declaring that Bud can beat anybody. For Tyson, Canelo was never the unstoppable force many believed. Instead, he recognized Crawford's adaptability, precision, and dominance as the decisive edge. And on fight night, Crawford proved him right.
Fight. Great fight. Right?
50-50.
I want to say Crawford. Why everybody say 50-50?
You don't think it's 50-50?
60-40, but you gonna tell him which one?
You think Crawford can stop him?
Crawford can stop anybody. I'm not saying he can, he's going to, but he can't.
Beyond Teddy Atlas, other analysts have expanded on why Canelo is often considered overrated. Some point to the cloud of performance-enhancing drug accusations that once lingered over his career, yet somehow left his reputation mostly intact. But the sharper critiques focus on what came after his lopsided loss to Floyd Mayweather. From then on, Alvarez grew more selective with opponents, often choosing fighters past their prime or those who fit his style. This approach helped him collect belts and keep his star power alive, but it also sparked doubts. Did he really test himself against the best when they were at their peak? By carefully shaping his path, Canelo safeguarded his image, yet to skeptics, it felt like he sidestepped the very challenges that define a truly great champion.
Alright, this guy right here is overrated as fuck, and I'm gonna tell you why. Now, early on in his career, when he was the young up-and-coming contender, undefeated at the time, we all remember that infamous match with Floyd Mayweather where he just got dog walked. Floyd Mayweather completely outboxed him, completely outclassed him. That fight ended up being a split decision, which is crazy because if you've seen the fight with your own two eyes, I don't think Canelo landed one clean punch on Mayweather the entire fight, and it wasn't even close. Also, early on in his career, he was accused and caught cheating performance enhancers. And you know what they say, once a dirty fighter, always a dirty fighter. Even though that's not factually the case, because he was able to move on with his career, bounce back from that loss, bounce back from the cheating accusations, and make like a great boxing legacy for himself. In the court of public opinion, normally with most fighters, that are, caught cheating at any point in this career, it always sticks with them. But with Canelo, it seems like everybody forgets. Now, obviously, to this day, he's still looked at as one of the faces, if not the face of boxing. But I think the way people accuse Floyd, especially in the back half of his career, of picking and choosing his fights, protecting his own, protecting his legacy, Canelo definitely has followed the Floyd Mayweather model. Not only in his game, he became a more defensive fighter after fighting Mayweather, and especially as of late, he's not taking as much punishment, but it's also because he's not fighting very dangerous fighters, and when he does, he gets exposed. One of his also top more formidable opponents was Triple G, that trilogy. The first fight was a draw. The second two fights, Canelo won by unanimous decision and ununanimous decision for the third. But I don't think the results, reflected the fight.
When Canelo finally stepped into the ring against Terence Crawford, the flaws critics had long warned about were suddenly undeniable. Crawford, the southpaw celebrated for his adaptability, dictated the action from the opening bell. He smothered Canelo's offense, leaving him unable to find range or rhythm. Alvarez, who built his success on patient pressure and counterpunching, looked flat and one-dimensional against Crawford's fluid movement. Analysts pointed out that Canelo relied on single, isolated shots instead of building combinations, and his jab was almost non-existent, allowing Crawford to set the tempo with ease. The gap in skill was obvious. Crawford neutralized every attempt, forcing hesitation from Canelo at every turn. For many watching, it became the most convincing evidence, yet that Canelo's aura of being untouchable had always been overstated.
I think there was a lot that we could learn from both of them. I think there's something that Terence Crawford did very well. He did not allow Canelo to get inside, man. Like as soon as Canelo would get into that certain range, he would jab him. And then occasionally he would go low. Canelo Alvarez could not pop his. He couldn't get inside because pretty much Bud, he's a southpaw, and I feel like Terence Crawford. I feel like Canelo Alvarez had problems with southpaws, but not just that, dude. It was the range of what Terence Crawford had, dude, and not just that, man. Terence Crawford was actually countering Canelo Alvarez quite a bit. So as Canelo would throw, he would just sit there, wait, block, and then boom, an uppercut or a right hand. Another mistake that Canelo was making too is he was throwing like one shot, and then he was coming back squared, and that's when Terence Crawford would actually catch him. We didn't see any like lateral moves where he would throw and maybe push off to the side, as we used to see Canelo Alvarez as what he would do in these fights. Allegiant Stadium, there was a lot of people there. Terence Crawford had the ability to fight backwards and stay composed, good defense, hands was always up, countering everything that Canelo was throwing at him. He was just a little more active fight. Looking at the fight, bro, like it was competitive. Canelo did hit him to the body, but it was pretty much all Terence Crawford, man. I don't know how many rounds I actually gave Canelo, but I want to see a rematch. Because Canelo did mention, I didn't feel good. Like my body was it wasn't reacting. My mind wanted to, but there was something physically with my body that it just felt different. So, but overall, boxing tends to put these big events, these fights don't show out like the UFC.
Canelo's stunning defeat to Crawford sent shockwaves across the boxing world, sparking immediate questions about his future. His tone in post-fight interviews carried hints of doubt, with many speculating retirement could be looming. Crawford's methodical dismantling made it feel like Canelo's reign at the pinnacle had finally ended. The victory was instantly labeled historic, not just for its dominance, but for its symbolism, the passing of the torch. For years, Alvarez had been boxing's leading face, but Crawford's brilliance established him as the sport's new standard bearer. The loss stripped away Canelo's aura of invincibility, while for Crawford, it immortalized his legacy as one of the greatest of his era. For fans, the narrative shifted in a single night. Canelo was no longer the king, and talk of the twilight of his career could not be avoided.
Crawford was going to create history. I told you guys this before he fought Sean Porter. I said that Terence Bud Crawford can beat first ballot Hall of Famer and superstar and legend Canelo Alvarez. I've been saying this for years, that Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez. And tonight, he did just that. He did just that. Not only did he beat Canelo Alvarez tonight, but he arguably retired Canelo Alvarez, who after the fight, Canelo Alvarez stated that he's done everything that he needed to do in the sport of boxing. When asked, do he want a rematch with Terence Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez said, it's no need. He gave no indications of a rematch. And Canelo Alvarez stated that he's a Hall of Famer, he's a winner, just being there made him a winner, right? And he stated that he's done everything he needed to do in the sport of boxing. That's what he said. Canelo Alvarez got schooled once again. I told you guys, styles make fights. This style, this particular style of boxers and counterpunchers and movers has historically given Canelo Alvarez problems. And as I told you guys, right? Terence Crawford can fight any which way he chooses to fight. He's just that much more versatile.
Crawford's triumph was far more than just another victory. It was a defining moment in modern boxing history. By toppling Canelo, he seized every one of the Mexican superstars' super middleweight titles, cementing himself as the undisputed champion in yet another weight class. The achievement placed Crawford among the rarest company, as few fighters have ever dominated across divisions with such commanding authority. Yet, the financial side of the spectacle drew nearly as much attention. Canelo left the ring with a staggering $150 million purse, while Crawford, despite the historic win, earned far less. Commentators like Simon Jordan couldn't ignore the irony. Boxing's business still rewarded Canelo more richly, even in defeat.
Making history when he came up against Canelo Alvarez and he won it on points in Las Vegas. And that means he takes all of his super middleweight belts, becoming the first fighter in the modern era to become undisputed champion in 3 weight classes. The man to my left was in Spain. Mr. Jordan got out his bed at 5 in the morning and watched it, and he no doubt saw Crawford speaking post-fight.
The great things come to those who wait. You know, the cream always rise to the top. All the time that they blocked me out, they said I wasn't fighting nobody. I can't beat this dude. I can't beat that dude. Every time that I got a chance, I wiped the floor with him. So just imagine where I would have been at today if I had got them opportunities a long time ago. But then again, it wasn't my time. My time is now, and I'm happy that everything played out the way it did. And you're looking at the undisputed champion of the world right now.
That is for sure. Is he the modern day GOAT now, Simon?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you can make the argument for Usyk too. I'm surprised he speaks like that because it's not normally the way he speaks. And the fact that he's got 3 undisputed means that he must have been given certain opportunities. So I'm surprised he felt the need to say that, but perhaps there was reasons behind it. I mean, Alvarez thought they were going to get him cold because he hadn't fought for 13, 14 months, had some surgery and stuff like that. And the other side of the argument is they've got an Alvarez that's been fighting lesser than opposition. That is not what he once was before. He was there to be beaten by someone of the standard of Terence Crawford, of which they're very few and far between.
Respected trainer Abel Sanchez admitted he was left stunned by Crawford's performance, expecting Canelo's experience and power to dictate the fight. Sanchez instead watched Crawford dismantle him from the opening bell. With masterful timing and footwork, Bud smothered Canelo's offense, never letting him find rhythm. For Sanchez, it wasn't just that Crawford won. It was how decisively he did it. He even suggested Crawford could retire on top, having proven everything with this historic victory. The remark underscored the scale of the achievement. Beating Canelo was a career-defining moment that left nothing else to prove.
Had a great game plan. Bomac put something together that few people expected, including myself. The scores were just the opposite of what I thought they were going to be, but Terence looked great.
What do you think was the turning point of the fight, or do you just think from the inception there was no way? Was there a point where you saw, hey man, this just doesn't look good?
From the beginning.
From the beginning.
From the beginning, and then Terence never let Canelo get into a rhythm. Terence never allowed Canelo to get anything going, and I didn't think he could do it for 12 rounds. I thought that the first 3 or 4 rounds were going to be difficult for Canelo for that reason, but Terence was able to do it for 12 rounds, and in the later part of the fight, he kind of pushed the fight more than I think people expected, which is the mark of a superstar, man.
Abel, starting in the 8th round, we saw noticeable frustration and irritation from Canelo Alvarez, and at one point, 11th and 12th, he looked like he almost walked away, like he almost decided this is too much.
You know, you remember the Hagler,
Duran.
The Duran.
I was thinking that.
Fight?
I was thinking that. I didn't want to disrespect Champ by asking him that post-fight, but those were the images that came to my mind. I was going to ask him if he understood more of Duran's plight that night.
Yeah, you can kind of. Duran had a reason, supposedly because he had stomach problems or something like that. But
right, he said he ate 2 steaks and drank a pot of coffee in New Orleans.
Sometimes frustration causes you to say things that maybe were not true. You know, Terence just fought a great fight, man. You can't. Virtuoso fight, the kind of fight that we're not going to see for a while, and there's nobody out there that can give Terence that kind of test again. And when you have a great fighter that has put up another great fighter, and it happens like this, is you just have to bow your head and, you know, that's the king right now.
The loss triggered a storm of renewed criticism, with analysts doubling down on the claim that Canelo's career had been inflated all along. What was meant to be a battle of legacies instead stripped away the hype. Crawford didn't just beat him, he outclassed him, revealing a level of skill Canelo couldn't touch. The consensus grew that Alvarez had been overhyped, protected by matchmaking, promotion, and timing. In sharp contrast, Crawford took real risks, jumped up in weight, and still managed to dominate.
Alvarez has been dramatically overrated throughout his entire career. The man has never been and never will be an A-plus level elite fighter. Canelo Alvarez is a B-level fighter. Now, this is something even myself had wrong. I thought at one point Canelo Alvarez was an A-level fighter. He has never been an A-level fighter. He's been dramatically overrated. And that's a product of great matchmaking for Canelo Alvarez. The man is a B-plus fighter at best. His best wins are B-level fighters, and the man has never beat an A-level plus elite fighter throughout his entire career. I mean, Canelo Alvarez, he's unable to make adjustments. A-level fighters are able to make adjustments. Canelo Alvarez is one-dimensional. A-level fighters are not one-dimensional. Canelo Alvarez has poor footwork. A-level fighters has great footwork. Canelo Alvarez is extremely predictable. A-level fighters are not predictable. A-level fighters has a variety of tools in their tool belt. Canelo Alvarez is a B-plus level fighter, but that's not an insult to Canelo Alvarez. This man beats a lot of fighters. He's done a lot of great things in his career, and I know a lot of people may have an issue with this, but let me break it down. An A-level fighter would not get dominated 3 times in their career. Canelo Alvarez has been dominated 3 times in his career. He was dominated by Floyd Mayweather. He was dominated by Dimitri Bivol, and he was dominated by Terence Bud Crawford. I'm sorry, A-level plus elite fighters do not get dominated. An example of A-level plus elite fighters is Floyd Mayweather, is Dimitri Bivol.
One of the longest-standing myths about Canelo Alvarez was his so-called iron chin. For years, he had taken heavy shots without ever looking seriously shaken, fueling the belief that his durability was one of his greatest weapons. But against Crawford, that narrative cracked. Crawford never needed a single knockout punch, just a steady stream of sharp, accurate shots that wore Canelo down. Instead of walking through the fire as usual, Alvarez looked uneasy, hesitant, and at times even rattled. Suddenly, the idea that his chin was unbreakable seemed far less certain, with analysts noting how his defensive flaws left him open to punishment again and again.
Canelo chin is overrated, and I'll show you why. Overrated does not mean bad, but shots like this in real time, we look at it like, damn, Canelo took a hell of a shot. But in reality, Canelo has really good defense. Canelo knows how to take a shot, and he knows when to roll, he knows when to deflect, he knows when to parry. Now, I still do believe Canelo has probably the greatest chin of all time. That is still a fact in my opinion. And just because I believe his chin is slightly overrated does not make it bad. As, like I said, the best of all time. I think we need to take some points away from his chin and accredit a lot of this to his defense. Canelo's defense is amazing. How many times do you see Canelo get hit just flush on the jaw? Now, you could tag his forehead all night. You could hit the side of his head, maybe even his temple at times. But Canelo's jaw is damn near untouchable. I know a lot of you Mexican fans are going to get mad at me because I say this chin's overrated. I love Canelo too. He's probably my favorite fighter of all time. But the chin it's a bit of a myth. Canelo just really knows how to take a damn good punch, and he's a terrific defensive fighter, especially for a super middleweight. But you guys let me know, who do you think has the best chin of all time, and how often do you use the rolling technique when in the gym or in your amateur bouts?
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates, and I'll see you in the next one.